This was a terrifying incident that happened high above the Pacific Ocean. A passenger plane was cruising when suddenly a loud explosion tore a large hole on the right side of the fuselage. The cabin instantly lost pressure, and the plane plummeted rapidly, leaving the captain unable to control it properly. To make matters worse, 2 engines failed and burst into flames. Over 300 passengers on board faced a life-threatening emergency. Let's go back to the moment the accident occurred. In the early morning of February 24, 1989, at 2 a.m. United Airlines Flight 811 took off. There were 337 passengers and 16 crew members on board. As the plane began to climb, the captain noticed dark clouds ahead that could bring thunderstorms. He then requested a course change from air traffic control, preparing to turn left to avoid the bad weather on the right. After receiving clearance, the plane flew smoothly for about 10 minutes. The captain thought they were safe. Suddenly, a loud explosion came from the business class cabin. The plane went out of control, tilting violently as thick fog rolled in. The captain immediately decided to make an emergency descent and return to the airport. The first officer also noticed engine number 3 had failed, and the plane was shaking violently. At 7,000 meters altitude, the cabin lost pressure. Oxygen rapidly escaped, making it hard for passengers to breathe. Even worse, the oxygen masks did not supply air. The explosion had damaged the oxygen system. The captain urgently lowered the plane to 3,000 meters so passengers could breathe normally again. One passenger stood up in panic and saw a huge hole on the right side of the fuselage. Some seats and passengers were missing. The captain tried to turn the plane around to head back, but because the plane was heavy, turning was extremely difficult. The flight engineer immediately started the fuel dump procedure to lighten the aircraft. Suddenly, engine number 4's temperature rose, risking failure. Only 2 engines remained operational. The captain never gave up hope and struggled to maintain the plane's course. Only by doing so could the plane have a chance to return and make an emergency landing. 7 minutes after the explosion, the first officer noticed an even worse problem. Engine number 4 was on fire. To prevent the fire from spreading, the captain ordered that engine to be shut down. The plane continued to lose altitude. At this point, the captain realized a serious problem. The plane would have to land overweight. It weighed 298 tons, 40 tons above the maximum safe landing weight. Hope for survival seemed slim, and despair was setting in. Then the flight engineer spotted the airport to the right, and hope was renewed. However, turning right was difficult because the right side engines had already failed. The plane was running only on the left side engines. Any slight mistake could cause the plane to roll and lose control. Amazingly, the captain, relying on his extensive experience, miraculously completed the right turn and aligned the plane with the runway. Air traffic control immediately approved the landing request. Rescue teams on the ground were already prepared. The landing gear was successfully lowered, and the Boeing 747 prepared for its final attempt. In the end, the crew's calmness and courage pulled off what can only be described as a miraculous emergency landing.